Hello, hello, hello. I'm making a video. The baby dog is in bed. He is chilling. And I'm in front of a beautiful, beautiful English laurel or cherry laurel. Not Stan laurel, but cherry laurel or English laurel. So, a laurel is a hedge plant. This is a hedge. A hedge fund, it is. And sometimes it has little cherries on there, but it's very rare. So once in a while he feels like it to give me one cherry. And they taste very nice, like a little bit bitter, but in a good way. And bitter, a little bit sour, tart, sweet, all of that. Really, really nice. This is an amazing, amazing plant. It's a natural pain medicine. Okay, if you eat a leaf, it will reduce any kind of inflammation and pain also. Very nice. It numbs the nerve cells. It's very nice. Without side effects. Which is very, very, very awesome. So, I want to talk a little bit about the subjects that came up also with Sam Vaknin. He talked about cuckolds a lot. So, Sam Vaknin himself is not a cuckold. And he would do probably anything to avoid being labeled a cuckold or seeing himself as a cuckold. So first of all, for those people that don't know about cuckolds, what is a cuckold? I'd never heard this word before until Sam Vaknin talked about it. It sounds like a cuckoo or something. Maybe a cuckold is a little bit cuckoo, like a cuckold. I think it comes from the bird family, that word. So, cuckold is a bird that has another bird species come into its nest and lay an egg. And then unknowingly the bird comes back to his nest or her nest and sits on the eggs. Lo and behold, the cuckold egg opens up at some point, right? No. The bird that is sitting on the eggs is regarded as the cuckold. I guess that's a bird species, a specific bird species. I don't know. I might be mixing this up, but anyway, the actual cuckold is the bird that is brooding on those eggs, including a stranger's egg. So, not knowing that he or she is brooding on a stranger's egg, including their own eggs. They're just sitting on the eggs, keeping them warm and putting them through this incubation phase until they hatch, and then all of a sudden a different species bird hatches from one of the eggs. And the mother and the father, they love all of them equally much. They don't care whether that is from another species. They don't even think that far at all. So that they just naturally adopt that chickie. So, and then the chickie grows up and they keep feeding that chickie, which is actually bigger than their own chicks. And I also heard that sometimes the bigger, I guess they are called cuckold chicks, they they will kick out the other chicks, and then it becomes parasitic. So that's really terrible when that happens. That's awful. But the actual cuckold, as it is used in terms of humans, the actual cuckold is the mother and the father that unknowingly incubate a chick from another species. So they're in terms of the way it is used, the way Sam Vaknin uses that terminology for humans. So actually, or the host parents, they are the cuckolds that are pulling through another species, but they don't care. I mean, they love them infinitely much, and I'm going to get into this subject of infinite love and unconditional love. So for Sam Vaknin, apparently, a cuckold, that is a terrible thing. It must be like, it must feel defeating or something, like. And I'm not making fun of him. He is a very, very brave man, okay? I have to make this very clear up front, because I have not seen any other so-called psychopath or sociopath or Machiavellian who would openly admit to all of these things, right? I have not seen it. Well, not admitting to all of these things is kind of like part of being Machiavellian, right? So, but Sam Vaknin is one of the, or maybe the only one in the world who admits it, which in my personal terminology and definition does not really meet the standard of psychopathy and sociopathy and Machiavellianism. So he is not in that range, although he has characteristics which he talks about and admits freely. So he has written that book, I, Psychopath, and they also made a documentary film about him, with him and his wonderful, beautiful partner, Lydia. He wanted a child with her, and she didn't, because she didn't want a child that could potentially have psychopathy. And she's also much more like I am, very, very critical about putting children into the world. Her IQ must be, I would say, at least 130. So, or Sam Vaknin would never even have dated her in the first place. So I think he only dates women with at least double-digit IQ. Because he himself, I think, has an IQ of, I'm just guessing now, but he could have an IQ of 180. So, could be more, I don't know. But this man is incredibly brilliant, okay? He really is. That doesn't mean I agree with him on everything. No, I agree with him only 50%. But those 50%, they mean something, and I'm impressed with his courage, and I'm very impressed with his IQ and with his brilliance and with his way of thinking outside of the box. So it takes a special person to do that and not be totally swamped over by social dictation and all of that. So there are some things I totally disagree with him on, but that's perfectly fine for me. I don't know if most people don't like it when they don't disagree with someone, when they don't agree with someone, or when someone doesn't agree with them. So even if it's just 1%. Most people freak out. They want others to agree with them 100%. And I don't think that can ever happen in the world, that we find someone we agree with 100%. I haven't seen it yet, so never seen it. I've never seen it in my life with myself or with other people. So, but people need to chill. Other people have different views. And there are reasons why people have different views, and even if you are right and they're wrong, then they have a specific history that led them to their conclusions and their beliefs. Just accept it and move on, right? I mean, you can talk to them about the subject and you can offer what you know to be true. But if they refuse to accept it, then move on. It's okay. We don't have to beat each other up about it. Okay, so this is very important. And I think he's also incredibly funny. So he has an enormous sense of humor that pretty much exceeds everyone else. So, and also an enormous sense of humor encompasses self-humor. It always does, okay? So you can't have an enormous sense of humor unless you're also laughing about yourself. That's a fact, okay? So Paul doesn't have it. It is it's sad. It's very sad. He knows how to laugh about others. When he sees a rundown motorhome, he laughs. As long as he doesn't have a rundown motorhome anymore, then yeah. And he also particularly laughs because he's been through that with the rundown motorhome, but now he doesn't have a rundown motorhome, and then he sees a rundown motorhome, and that homeless man will say, or one day we were in a rundown motorhome. And a homeless man said, "I'm going to get myself one of those one day." That kind of reminded me of that commercial where like a real wealthy man in a Porsche said to someone in a yacht, "I'm going to get myself one of those one day." So it kind of has its own universal humor in it, of course. But I understand that the universal humor in all of this, but I wouldn't laugh about someone in a rundown motorhome where it leaks into it, particularly having experienced this so for 3 years. When we sold our house in LA and just had the money in savings accounts and traveling in a Winnebago that was old in order to not buy any new property sight unseen. So, and it was rough, and it was also a very brutal learning experience and school that I could never say I think that was a necessary thing and I don't want to miss it. So I would rather if we hadn't lived these 3 years in the motorhome. But at the end of that journey, we did learn something. So, it is what it is. We learned things, and that's what life is all about. Life is about learning and going through difficult times in order to come out the other end more enlightened, and also more enlightened about oneself. I basically learned things about my own psychology, so how it actually feels to be homeless in a motorhome. You have to experience that. Even if you have money in your bank account and you could anytime buy something and have a better life, but if you have a lot of courage, go live in a in an old rundown, not a new motorhome, an old rundown Winnebago that leaks in and has mold on the inside. So live in that for 3 years and then we'll talk again. Okay. Maybe you've learned something about yourself by then and you understand homeless people better and you will never laugh about them again. But Paul has this tendency to laugh about others, but when it comes about him, no, he's not gonna laugh. He's gonna blame other people for things, for his own mistakes. But you know, he got issues, but he also has a lot of good in him. And I want to get into that now. So, he's a cuckold. Yes, that is what he is. And he doesn't care. He wouldn't care if someone calls him a cuckold. So you just go, okay, whatever. You know. So he has a lot of good in him. He has a lot of strengths. He has a lot of sovereignty, I guess they call it. You know. So standing above a bunch of stuff. So, but then there are other things that he's not quite above, where he has insecurities. And I guess that's the case with almost all humans. I have it too, of course. I'm not above everything, so I cry a lot. I cry like almost every day. But at least I cry it out. I don't sit on anything. I don't harbor any kind of grudge or bitterness or jealousy or something. I cry this out full force when something surges up. Okay? That it wants to surge up and it wants to be seen and felt and cried out. That's a fact. Okay? It is an energy. It is something that has been put under the rug as a form of trauma response. Okay, it's a PTSD, and so when we go through life, these things come surging up here and there. Particularly, if we experience something that is kind of like on the opposite end, and as Jiddu Krishnamurti said, we have to be careful with the term opposite. So. Because he said all opposites contain each other. So, yes, so there is no clear-cut black versus white. And I mean the yin and yang of this, so I don't mean skin color right now. Or, you know, dark versus light. So, seeming opposites, right? But they always contain each other. It's always a melange. So... And it's okay. That makes things a little bit more complex and forces us to look more into ourselves than we want to. You know, most people want to just blame someone else and say, this is whatever. This is my scapegoat, and I'm gonna blame Adolf Hitler now for everything. It's not that black and white. It's not that opposites. It's not that light versus dark. Okay, people want to think that, you know, it's so convenient to use a person as a trash can, but it doesn't work that way in truth and in the field of reality when we want to use truth. So if you want to be in denial, then that's how you live. You use a person as a scapegoat or trash can, but you still don't get off the hook with that, because the truth is always there, shining through the English laurel. You see, the truth is always there, shining its bright light into beautiful, beautiful prisma colors of existence. Cosmic rays of the solar flares and auroras of the world. Look at these amazing sun reflections the camera lens doesn't want me to do this, so I have to be easy on it. But anyway, it is, once we go into our own mind and look at our own issues, which Paul doesn't do, and it has to do with trauma, so he isn't there yet. I have to be completely patient with him. He isn't there yet. So it's not easy, all of this, and I get impatient and I get angry sometimes. He gets angry, we fight, I cry. It is what it is. But it's important that we don't just accept someone's BS. We have to speak out. We have to say, hey, this is totally incorrect. This is totally wrong, the way you acted. Don't do that. I have to be careful that I don't enter into the territory of insulting, which has happened to me, which has happened to him. Okay, so we want to do better. We don't want to get into that. So even though we're frustrated and angry, it's important to practice mindfulness with our words. It's really, really important. I see most people don't practice mindfulness with their words and wordings and their psychological meannesses and so on. They're not mindful about it. Humble down. Look into your own mind. Look at the truth, okay? And be gentle with other people. Say the truth, but don't say it with a snarl. Don't throw a brick over their head. Don't bulldoze them with a lawnmower or something, which has happened to me. I'm just giving good advice here from my own experience. We don't want to do that anymore. So it takes a lot of meditation and inwardness to not lash it out anymore on other people. It happens very quick. It's a knee-jerk reaction. We have to become very, very conscious about it. And the more conscious we become about it, that doesn't mean we're holding back. Okay? So those are two completely different things. Okay? So become conscious in the way you talk to the other person. You can cry, also you can just say it all. Okay? Just don't say it in a mean way. Don't say it throwing a brick over their head or insulting them. Don't threaten them. I have done it. It's not good to do. Okay. Don't do blackmailing, which I have done. My mother and I have done that for 50 years. Oh, Jesus Christ, man. We both did it, we threw the blackmailing bricks at each other's head like there's no tomorrow, and it went on and on and on and on. And I feel infinitely sorry for that. But I didn't know better, and she didn't know better. Okay, we weren't on the level yet, okay, to understand that this isn't going anywhere. So, but I had to move out, so that was the right step in the right direction. Because if I hadn't moved out, had stayed anywhere near them, lived anywhere near them, and stayed in contact, at some point, there's no telling what horror may have come out of it, right? With completely unaddressed emotions on the side of my mother, about jealousy, about envy, about comparing herself to her own daughter, which is really hardcore neurotic. It doesn't get any worse than that. But it needs to be addressed instead of just suppressing. It needs to be addressed. So we have to, and if we have to walk away from our parents or so-called loved ones, I still love them, but I have to walk away, right? You have to walk away if they're abusive. That's all there is to it. There's nothing else to say. So you can still love them. You can even send them a letter without a return address once in a while, right? Every Christmas or so. I'm thinking of you. I love you. I will always love you. I will always love my parents and my brother. No matter what they do. No matter what they do to me. Because I know that whatever they're doing, whatever my brother has been doing to me, is because he is not attuned to the truth. He's not looking into his own mind. He is completely fragmented. That's why. Okay? And so I feel compassion for him for that, instead of holding a grudge. And I will always love him. I will always send him healing energy. So whenever he's ready, he can step onto the healing path. Okay? I wish it for him. I can't hang out with him anymore. I would never trust him anymore. Okay? Even if he is on the healing path. Because that traumatized me. I'm alive too. I'm a living being too. I'm not a god. I'm a flesh animal, okay, with emotions, with feelings, with vulnerability and all of that. I have to protect myself. There's a bunch of people that I can never hang out with anymore ever again. Okay? A whole bunch, probably 100 or more. So everyone in my school class in the past, in junior high school level. Okay? So there's no way I can ever go to these school reunions. Ever. I can never. Okay? No matter how these people have evolved or changed or whatever. I could never do that. This was traumatic for me, and I'm still working on it. I'm still trying to heal this. And I'm probably going to be on this healing journey, trying to heal this for the rest of my life. And it just is what it is. These people were not on the level. They were not attuned. They were fragmented. Who knows what they were feeling, but not saying, right? So, but either way, it's still traumatic for the ones that were bullied. It is what it is. And you have to walk away and move on and cry it out every day if that's what it takes. It's okay. It's perfectly fine. So that's what I want to offer to the world. I want to offer this shoulder, this mother energy for people to cry on my shoulder. I want to offer this unconditional mother energy for people, so that they know there is a safe haven on my channel, at least for now. But in the future, if I get to experience this during this lifetime, want to establish a foundation to help people heal from trauma. And I have the right therapy approach for that. And I say this with utmost conviction. I have developed the ultimate therapy approach. It is a conglomeration of different approaches from my teachers, and I expanded on it. So I took that spark, or that flower petal of love, and I cultivated it. And Arjana would be very happy that I am doing it. I don't have the courage right now. I don't have the money. I don't have the funds. But I hope that one day we can make something like this happen. It takes a village to make this happen. It's the truth. Okay? So I talked to Sam Wagner about it. He would never even acknowledge that he has seen my comment. So he's very arrogant, but that's where he's at. Okay, so arrogance, what is that really? let's take a look into it. Paul is also quite arrogant. Why are people arrogant? Why are some religious people arrogant also? Why are some atheists arrogant? So Sam Backman and Paul are atheists. They are also arrogant. So why are some people arrogant? Why do they snub their noses on other people? Because there's a fear under there. There is a fear. I've seen it in myself. Okay? There is a fear of the other person. The other person representing something that I am running away from. Okay, that's the truth. Okay? So instead of running away from it and putting myself on a pedestal or snubbing someone or ignoring someone like that, I need to look into my own mind and see what's going on there that makes me run away from that makes me ignore that person, or even, which I don't do, I don't mistreat other people, but I've seen it in other people many times. So I have been mistreated. So probably for that very reason. My grandfather and my mother mistreated me. Probably because I represent something to them that they are afraid of. I represent vulnerability to them, and they are terribly afraid of it. They're terrified of it. So vulnerability, embracing that in themselves, which can only happen if you embrace it in other people, okay, then that would mean being vulnerable. That would mean being exposed. My mother even used that word. Oh, that's dangerous, to be exposed. So, expose myself to the world. Jonathan Mese said, if you want to become an artist, and there's a lot of people that want to become an artist, how do you become an artist? By learning the skills? Well, that's just skills. You're still not what you might be called a skill artist, right? If you become really good at it. But the real, wholeheartedly, full circle artist does not care what other people think of them. The full circle artist does not paint something like a landscape or something, you know. There's nothing wrong with landscapes. Some people are passionate about it. But if a person thinks that's the only thing they're allowed by society to paint, a landscape or something that's tangible or that's real in our society, like that chair or something, people wouldn't even paint that chair. That would also eat up. Even this chair here, someone painting that chair, that would be artistic, because that's something that most people would not paint. Most people will already think this would be, why would someone just paint an object like this chair, garden chair, you know, just the garden chair itself, not a flower vase next to it. So they have this preconceived idea about what they're supposed to paint and how they're supposed to paint it. They're so stuck in that fear that there can't be a real flow coming out of it. So how does a real flow evolve? As Jonathan Mese said, you have to go through the valley of ridicule and go all the way through, ruthlessly, radically honest, okay, and experience this, you know, being clowned, being abused, being insulted, and you shrug it off and say, okay, whatever, it's your problem, not mine. And you go through the valley of ridicule, and you come out the other end. That's when you're an artist. It's when you simply don't care anymore. Don't care about society. You don't care about hedge funds. But you care about hedges, okay? Like the English laurel. So, that's when you're an artist. When you have love for all life. When you have love for all life, then you have love for yourself. Then you have love for your own body, that means your inner child, that means your vulnerability, that means my wrinkles, that means my skin, just the way I am, with flabby fat, and it is what it is. Okay, you love it. That's being an artist. Okay, it's the truth. So, and when you can be an artist and psychologist, then you can help people. When you can be an artist, psychologist, panpsychist, and parapsychologist. What does he have to say now? Will he have to say something? He just jumped on my arm and made my arm dirty. Why is this? No. Why does this happen? What do you want now? You want better food? I gave dog food with a cookie dough that I always make for him, with diatomaceous earth and kelp seaweed. He doesn't want that. I know what he wants. He wants apple pie with whipped cream, but that's not good for dogs. No, we can't do that. No, we can't do apple pie with whipped cream. That is not good. And the whipped cream comes from suffering cows. No, we don't want the suffering cows. No, we want all living beings to feel real, real good. That's the truth. The ears, they smell like cedar now. Yes, they smell like cedar oil. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he has so much love in his eyes. Oh, yeah. There's something there on the eye. So much love in the eyes. Such love and devotion. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, you are. You are on the internet, baby dog. And you are famous. No, you're not. We are not famous. Well, we're only liked by the AIs and the chatbots. Yes, and that's all good. That's all perfect. We don't need to be famous. So, but let's get back to the subject cuckold. All of these subjects tie in with it. Paul is a cuckold because I am mooching off on his savings, okay? And it's not easy at all. I made a lot of mistakes in my life. I gave up my parents' money that they were sending me. I told them not to send me money anymore. And where does it come from? I had to introspect. It came from pride, and pride is neurosis. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. Paul is right. I argued with him. I said, no, I don't want to take money from them anymore. It didn't feel right. But why did it not feel right? It didn't feel right because of my pride. That's all there is to it. Once we can acknowledge that, then we're on the healing path. Once we can acknowledge those type of things that really don't feel very good, So I see in the videos that the AIs make that dignity and pride, it's almost kind of like the same thing. They understand it as the same thing. So even dignity, what does that mean, dignity? And it really is the same as pride. I want others to have dignity, of course. I want others to always feel good about themselves. And I want to feel good as well. But isn't it the ego? Let's